Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we'll go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA in order to bring a Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm the nerd with mouth, David.
Alliance Assemble.
Assemble.
Volume 280. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we do not have an Avengers Doomsday trailer to break down tonight. Or this morning, or this afternoon, whenever you're listening to it. Especially you, Fifth Jack Gaming. You know, we always appreciate you in the chat. But yes, we do not have that for you. Marvel's playing close to everything with the best and not giving us anything. And Scooper Madness is trying to say, it's coming out today, it's coming out tomorrow, it's coming out sometime. You know, when we know it's coming out, I think the only thing that we can say it's probably going to be attached to is probably Avatar. But even then, we don't know if we're going to see it unless we see Avatar next week, of which David and I are not seeing Avatar next week.
I will not be seeing Avatar. I would like to know something. Like, if you are attaching to Avatar, then just come out and say, hey, we're attaching it to Avatar. Go see Avatar. This is cross promotion, whatever. Right now, we're just sitting here waiting to see who, what, when, where, and how.
Yeah, it's it's disappointing. It is frustrating at that point. I get it. They have a lot on the line with this, but then the latest rumor being that it's going to be exclusive to Avatar for the first week at that point before they release it to the theaters. I said, now you're just asking for it to get leaked. You know,
Yeah.
I get it. You don't want to compete with Supergirl today. I totally get it. Respectable. Buy it. That's fine. But this whole rumor, and I hope it's not true. I really do hope that we do get it next week. So
Yeah.
we do have a show for you tonight. It's something that we do typically every year, and it's just kind of depending on content and what we're getting right now. So we're gonna do it this week is looking back at Marvel in 2025 and what the MCU put out for us. But before we get into all that, how's been your week, David?
Week has been good so far, really chill. I got contracted to help out a old church I used to work with to do something for them. So I've been balancing my time outside of work and doing some audio visual setup for them. Outside of that, it's been real quiet, and I like quiet going into the holiday season.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so this is we're wrapping up the second week back from Thanksgiving break, and next week will be our final week of the year. At that point, I'm pretty sure it's for you as well. Next week's last week for you.
Yep.
So yeah, so we are very excited to, welcome into the final week. At that point, I've got travel plans at the end of next week to head into see my family up in Connecticut. So in regards to a show next week, we're just gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna wait and see what Marvel does. So we're not gonna say we're gonna have a show. We're not gonna have a show. We're gonna have to wait and see what they do with the trailer stuff. So just stay tuned. We will. We're gonna do what's right for us and for the listeners and for everything like that. But yeah, like we said, it's gonna be interesting, right?
Yeah. So we'll see if they go the route of allowing Supergirl 48 hours to breathe and then putting out their own, or if they just leave us high and dry. That's going to be a big determining factor.
Yeah. So, but like we've said since the beginning that we will always put out a show that is of quality, and when we have content. So we appreciate y'all understanding that the last couple of last month or so where content's kind of been dry and we've kind of been in and out, but we appreciate y'all listeners sticking by us, and we do appreciate. We just hope that you understand that there's only so many evergreen topics that David and I can come up with, and I know you many of you probably do like that, but that's I'm pretty confident that you all tune in for us to break down the news when it comes out and give our takes and kind of agree or disagree with us at that point. But yeah, so we will just have to see with it. And when it comes down to it, it's just a trailer. We know we're going to get it, but rest assured, when it does come out, David and I will be there when it's at the ready to break it down. So, David, let's start breaking down the network plugs as we always do every week. So, we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 6 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out the show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got two tiers. We've got our dollar tiers, our tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job? And then we've got our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon-exclusive shows. We at Marvel Alliance have 3 shows on the Patreon feeds. We have We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance Infinity Saga rewatch, breaking down all the films in the Infinity Saga. Then we have the Tales from the House of X, where we broke down and reviewed our favorite movies from the Fox era of X-Men. And then we recently, when we wrapped up the Baxter broadcast this year, the Fantastic Four retro film reviews. So all those are on the feeds for the patrons. The DC Alliance guys have the DC film through the years. And Joe and Walk Through the Multiverse has his Multiverse Minutes right now in the back in it with the Disney deep dives, looking at every single animated film in chronological order on the 1st and 15th of the month. His most recent one, seminal classic, The Nightmare Before Christmas. So very, very timely at that point. I enjoyed that listen. Yeah, and interestingly enough, my children really enjoyed that movie. I was kind of surprised. I was kind of apprehensive to see, like, when they finally watched it, what they like, and they love it.
Nightmare Before Christmas is both my favorite Halloween and Christmas movie. I watch it for both.
Yep, hey, I love a good twofer, right? So, but yeah, a lot of great back content out there for you listeners. So we want to thank our patrons. We can't do this without your support. But if you're not a member of our Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/GUA network so you can join us at the Geek Ultimate Alliance Patreon. But if you're not a member of our Patreon, we totally understand. Could you take that 30 to 90 seconds and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts? We greatly appreciate it. And last, but certainly not least, as a little man has decided to join us in the chat, that would be panelboundcomics.com for omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP at the group at PBC have got it going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging, ships around the world. Look at all these lovely, lovely pre-orders there. You've got Star Wars the Legends of the New Star Wars Legends the New Republic omnibus wrapping up that saga. X-Men the Messiah trilogy. The Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 7, Captain America by Mark Rummel Volume 3, all that out there for you to order. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order, or use that code MGUASIT for getting 5% off when you order 4 or more books together. We want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, so there we go. And yes, as my co-hosts on the Brave and the Boys are for the the solicit show that we do every month. As Jake is saying, 50% off sale that is currently going on under. And let's see. Well, I just pulled it off at that point. Let me pull that back up so we can show you. 50% off is going on. Let me pull that up. And as we always say, the link in with the feed is in for PBC is actually in the show notes. Let's see. Gotta love this dead air that we try to. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. All right. So yes, the 50% off Black Friday sale is going live, as Jake says, through till Christmas. Excuse me, till Christmas. So Jake's still in the chat. Is that through Christmas or ends right at Christmas? So look at some of that great Marvel stuff out there. You got You got the Superior Spider-Man. You got Venom by Cates. You got some great DC stuff out there. You know, the Distinguished Competition always has some good stuff. At that point, we've got Thor by Jason Aaron. We've got Spider-Man Brand New Day. So a lot of great stuff. 50% off. You know, that's some great stuff out there. So enjoy that. A lot of great stuff. Oh, some stuff's being added at that point. So, but yeah, so check that out. And as always, we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, so as I said at the opening, we are going to be talking about the year of the MCU in 2025. So in total, we had 8 pieces, 8 projects coming from Marvel. Remember they were saying they were going to be slowing down?
Yep.
But to be fair, also, you know, a lot of this stuff had been in the hoppers for a while, had been delayed, and this is the the official end, I believe we can say, of the COVID era of the churning out projects will be coming in January with Wonder Man, and it's a show David and I are going to watch,
Yes.
and that's what we will say. But what I can say this, I think as a whole, before we get into this, we're just going to kind of talk about each one of these projects in a, we're not going to re-review everything, but kind of looking back at it in a reflective way. Like we've already given our reviews on the show for every one of these projects. So if you want to listen to our deep dives, just go back through the feeds, look it up. At that point, you'll see more deeper dive. But this will be more kind of a reflective piece. And then at the end, David and I are going to give a grade for the year and talk about which one is our favorite movie and our top, and I'm going to change this out, our top 3 favorite Disney shows that came out. Since we can't say top 3 movies because there were only 3 that came out, so we'll do top 3 shows. But I would say, as a whole, speaking for myself, I think we have a couple of surprises that, for me, and even starting off the year with a surprise that I was apprehensive about. But as a whole, I think this was a mixed bag for the MCU this year.
I agree. This was a very up and down year for them. I will say that I do like the fact that between January and September, they gave us almost one project a month. But outside of that, they then decided to take the rest of the year off. They said fall hit, the leaves fell, and they were going to go sip pumpkin spice somewhere in the corner and not give us any more.
God, I'm sorry if you like pumpkin spice. That is not my tempo. Peppermint mocha is my tempo.
Well, I mean, it's just now peppermint mocha season, and they're already fully on break, kicked back with the fire going. They decided that they are done working for the rest of it. It's getting cold, and they're done working. So hopefully, but yeah, it was a mixed bag. Some of these projects did surprise me in a good way, and there were some disappointments that I just felt like, and we could have done better.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, so let's start off with, January with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Now, this one, when it came out with the trailers, I know some people were a little kind of iffy on the animation. I kind of liked it at first. I liked the cell shading. I liked the way they were doing it, kind of an homage to Ditko's art style from the the comics when they were first coming out. I will have to say this was one of my big surprises for the year of how good that show continually got. This is one that I think this, if I remember correctly, this was batches of episodes. I think they did 3 episodes at a time, and then they started doing 2 episodes at a time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they did it in an arc situation. So, which for me, with this show, I like that. I like the fact that they did it in an arc because the way that it was done with the comic book style of their artwork, with the comic book style of panel transitions, to then have, okay, this is a self-contained 2-story arc. This is a self-contained 3-episode arc. Everything's a part of the bigger story, but you get these bites here and there. For them to do this particular show like that, I really liked.
Yeah, especially, right, the arcs, it worked really well, and that show really, I think, hit its footing. Pretty much that first arc was just a setup. It was okay. It had promise, but man, once it hit the middle of the show and really kind of fleshing out some of these characters and kind of the twists and turns that they were taking with the history of Spider-Man and putting their own spin on it, I was really impressed. And by the end of the first season, man, I was excited. And I remember I shared a TikTok with you guys with Scorpion when it came. I was like, oh god, yeah, they didn't pull punches when they got into those fights.
Yeah, and that was the thing. The storylines with this, even though it was a cartoon, some of these storylines like really hit, and you really felt as you're watching the rise of Tombstone, like you felt for his family dynamic and things like that. So I was like, oh man, and the fight with Scorpion, I was like, oh, we are going here. We are going in an area where I did not expect them to go for a show called My Friendly or Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Like for you guys to go this deep down certain wells, like bravo.
Yeah, and especially with the twists, and again, it's been out there. We're gonna the twists. We'll be spoiling stuff necessarily just because we've already talked about it. So just assume that everything is fair game. It's been out there. But the twist that they had with Doctor Strange and kind of the time travel esque, kind of, I wouldn't call it necessary, a little bit multiversal, a little bit like, but it was something I was kind of surprised that they went with, but it worked. It really didn't necessarily take away from it, and it kind of made sense with where they're kind of going for a second season. And I'm actually, for what was a show that I was like, okay, it's Spider-Man, I'll give it a shot. Now it's become for next year. I think it's coming out next year or two
Yeah,
years.
that
Yeah.
they've already got it most of the way through their production for season
Okay.
2.
All right. So potentially coming out next year. I'm excited for it. It doesn't, I'm more excited for X-Men 97, but this is definitely a project that I am much more higher up on than I originally was when the first season came.
Yeah. So it's slated for a fall release in 2026,
Okay.
and I'm excited about it. It left me feeling like, yes, I want more. The change in the last episode where you're seeing the callbacks to the first episode with Doctor Strange, and you're seeing where they're going, and the seeds that they sow for the upcoming season left me going, man, this was some great animation. It was a good run of something new with them, and it had me wanting more of this. So yeah, it's not X-Men 97 levels, but it was very, very good.
And especially the pivot they made when they originally put out the concept of the show. This was going to be said this was going to be Tom Holland Spider-Man in the years that we didn't see him, like in the
Yeah.
movies at that point. So I like the pivot they made. Said nope, this is just going to be an alternative universe Spider-Man, not directly connected to the MCU. And it allowed them to play fast and loose with ideas, and that's what I want to see. I've seen, I have the comics all right behind me, all right over there on my iPad. I've got the content that I adore and love. I They can't take that away from me.
Yeah.
But what I enjoy is the little twists, the turns, the ideas that they can take characters and flip it on its head. And man, Colin Domingo as Norman Osborn, man, inspired voice casting there. Very inspired. Loved it at that point. The the way we still don't know kind of which side of the aisle we know eventually we're going to get to, but I like how he became the mentor figure to Peter in this one. And, even though I hate the Future Foundation suit, I really not at all. I know it's probably breaking Brent's heart about Future Foundation. I know it's a favorite of his. Yeah, sorry. I was so glad to see it go when it eventually went bye-bye. Even with the blue outlines of it. Nope, sorry, not for me. But if you have not seen Friendly Neighborhood Spider, I know we've kind of given a quick overview. That's what it is. It really doesn't ruin it. Give it a shot. You got the holidays coming up. They're quick episodes. I think they're like 20 minutes each, 20, 25 minutes each. You can get it done in an afternoon if you really push through it, but it will be well worth your time. A lot of character, a lot of heart. They did right by Spider-Man with this show. So the year started off on a really strong note, surprisingly.
Yeah. Great one to start off with. Fantastic visuals. So definitely go back and give that a watch if you haven't yet. If you have, then go back and watch it again, because again, it's just a great show. And then after that, go back to Marvel Alliance episode 246 and start
There we
from
go.
there, and you can hear our
Is
review.
Dave's got it on. I'm gonna rely on him because I wasn't gonna do that at that point. So there we go. So say that one more time, David, so that they can.
Starting with episode 246 is where we do the first 2 episode arc, and then the next 4 episodes after that is where we start to break them down. So yeah, start 246, 7, 8, 9, and you should be good to go on your review of that after you take another gander.
All right. So let us head into February, where we got our first MCU movie with Captain America: Brave New World, a movie that was plagued with so many issues. From basically wrapping an initial principal photography the day before the strikes happened, and wholesale changes being made to the villains, to wasn't it Seth Rollins was originally put into
Yep.
this with the whole
Seth Rollins was a part of the Serpent Society, and they made a lot of changes, a lot of cuts, changed the working title of the movie, changed the villains of the movie. There was a lot of just going back to the drawing board and cutting and pasting.
yeah. And I think that's what started our concern when we started hearing all this. We were hopeful, saying, okay, maybe they're making this, but all the different changes are saying, "Well, that's a lot of stuff to be making," and history is not necessarily looking kind on movies that do that. And for what would be Sam Wilson's first movie leading a project at that point, and Anthony Mackie doing this, it's just like, oh man, I'm a little worried about this. And having Harrison Ford come in as Thunderbolt Ross, great. I think that we were all saying, okay, this is great. I can buy this. It'll work with it. And then the idea is when they started bringing out, like, okay, we're gonna make this kind of a pseudo sequel to the Incredible Hulk with bringing back the leader and making it kind of playing around with that. We're introducing adamantium. I would say, as a whole, reflecting, I've seen the movie, I think 2 or 3 times since I initially saw it in theaters. I will say it is okay. It is an okay movie. There is a good idea in principle with this movie, but it's kind of a mess. And there are it's a patchwork movie. I've seen. It's definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. That's why I'm saying it's just okay. But knowing as much as we are in the know about what happened with the movie, what was going on with the movie, I stick by what I said during the review. I love Giancarlo Esposito as a actor. I think he's forever going to be an outstanding character actor as a villain. I don't care and have no care for who he's playing in this movie, nor the organization he represents, because I didn't understand it. I knew the idea behind it, but like I didn't care. It seemed like a copy and paste of standard villain. It didn't present a threat to me. Baron Zemo presented a much greater threat as a singular person with a objective that was personal. I cared more about him than I ever do about what Sidewinder is and what his society represents.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree. So I feel like they tried to, when they decided to changed paths with the movies, when they decided to redo what they were going to do with the Serpent Society, when they took it off of Captain America New World Order and changed it to Brave New World and things like that. I felt like they were playing it a little bit safer and trying not to delve too much into the political intrigue and the spy aspects of it and some of the other things with the Serpent Society and infiltrating and taking over. And I feel like because of that, you could tell where the patchwork happens with this movie. There's not a cohesiveness with the scenes of Sidewinder versus the rest of the movie. It feels like they just like, here is a B story. We're just sticking it in right here. And you can tell when that happens. There are also some parts of the movie that felt like it wasn't quite finished in the VFX department. Like they maybe could have taken just a little bit more time on that.
Yeah, and just it was disappointing just because the movie had so many different opportunities to be a good idea, but then the more stuff like adamantium, the leader, Hulks, Red Hulk, and they put that out in the first trailer, and I'm of two minds of that. I understand the marketing; they have to put something out there to get people in the seats, but I also understand the other side of it, saying, "Man, that should have been something that they should have held back on." And I can't say that they're totally wrong with that. You know,
Yeah.
so
So
uh,
it's a serviceable movie. It's not on the good end. It's not on the great end. It has its moments. It has its fun moments. I love Anthony Mackie. I would never take anything away from him. I love Harrison Ford. They both do great in this. Carl Lumbly does great in this. But the movie as itself pacing, just cohesiveness, it just doesn't work.
And again, these are our subjective opinions, as always. At that point, none of us are saying this is a failure of a movie because look at the box office. It really surprised me in the sense of how much that movie ended up making, despite the criticism about it. So, um, so yeah, it was just kind of like one of those. Okay, I really wanted this, but it was too hard to ignore the different things. I had a fun time at points, but especially the way the ending worked, it was like, oh, really? Okay. The
Yeah.
weird hinting of the multiverse from the leader. It's like, yeah, that seemed very shoehorned in.
Yeah.
So
Again, if you want to hear our full breakdown review, episode 249, we go over more in depth on it. But yeah, just overall, it's a good solid six, if that.
yeah, yeah, a solid six. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. So, all right, so let's take our first ad break for the show. So, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They can be a bit loud, so give it a 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, so next we follow up with our second Disney Plus show, one that David and I and many of us were looking forward to, as I wear it. If you're watching on the feeds, you know, Yep, there we go. There's David as well. Daredevil: Born Again. Another show, much like Captain America: Brave New World, had a kind of a troubled start. A show that got pretty far into production, and then the strikes happened, and then we started hearing a lot of stuff saying, "Oh, we're not going to see him in the costume until like towards the end of the show. It's going to be more focused kind of like on the legal side versus it's going to be more Matt Murdock focused than Daredevil focused." And it's like, "Ooh, I don't know about this." And then during the strikes, I think it was almost like within a couple of weeks after the strike started happening, we got like a full on like information coming out saying they are doing a hard stop on this. They are going back to, they said they were
Back to
going back to
formula.
formula. They made it seem like they were going back to formula and bringing back characters, bringing back what made the Netflix show, writers and ideas and stories and things like that, to bring back what people wanted with it, and kind of going back to square one. What really happened was that they didn't scrap as much as they made us think they did, and had a reshot episode 1, and then did basically what amounted to the 2 episodes at the end of the season, correct? And
Correct.
reshuffled maybe some scenes here or there, some episode placements here or there. So much like Brave New World, one could call Daredevil: Born Again a also Frankenstein project, that had some outstanding moments, outstanding performances by Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio. They are still channeling those characters, still do some great work with those characters. A number of episodes that are just peak great stuff that definitely harken back to the Netflix days. But I even said going into this, I was not expecting the Netflix show again. I was expecting it to honor the legacy of it, but I never expected it to really be the Netflix show. And if you did, you were going to be, we warned you, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because it never was going to be like that. They wanted to honor it and bring something new to the table, and they did. I think that they did, based on everything that we saw, and in the end, I still think it is a good show. There are probably a number of episodes that David and I could say, you really don't need to watch that.
Yeah.
That necessarily was, you don't need to watch it to do this. But what they set up, and bringing back also Frank Castle, and when he comes back for those final 2 episodes, like there is some great stuff here. I'm so happy to have Charlie Cox back. I'm so happy to have Daredevil back, and I'm very excited to see season 2 come out in March of next year, knowing that it's not going to be a Frankenstein show. It's going to be a show where the people and the showrunners who were brought in have consistency and understand what was done. And I hope we bring this to a much better consistent flow than the kind of up and downs that we had with Born Again.
Yeah, there were definitely some times within this show where you could tell that okay, this is the mandate. We have to keep these episodes in, or we have to keep these moments in. We can't take these out. But then the rest of the show, you could tell where they went with a different story vision, different overall pacing. Like I said, it's a good show. This was the only one that was true weekly drops out of the shows that were released this year. This is the only one that got true weekly drops. And so that made for the fun viewing with that. Love John Bernthal as the Punisher. Like, will absolutely love anything that he's in, but him as the Punisher is just, it fits. Some of the changes that they made, honoring the characters while moving forward, it fits. I love Wilson Fisk. I liked his office crony that he had in there, and his storyline and how he's getting built up from there, and just all the little seeds that they sown. I'm excited for where they go in the future from the next season, but also the little weaves that they did into bringing this a part of the MCU as a whole. So yeah, it was good, with the exception of, I'll call it the Inside Man episode. For the most part, I liked it. And other than them changing one character that really upset me, then overall it was a pretty good show. I'll watch it again, and I'm going to have to give Brent grief publicly for this.
Oh,
I mentioned Marvel 2025 in review, and he tried to name off everything that came out this year, and this is the show that Brent forgot.
oh,
Yes.
wow. David with like calling out like that to the masses. Oh man, you're gonna have to like FaceTime me in when you going to work and see him tomorrow.
He said I was free to
I
call him out, and I told him I
Okay,
would.
that's fine. Call him out. Call him out at that point. Wow, of all the shows, especially what he just shared with me in a text message just now. How
Yeah.
dare you, sir? How dare you? You call yourself a Daredevil fan? How dare you?
But yeah,
Um,
overall good show. Again, weekly release. So if you're going back, watch each episode, and then if you want to listen to our reviews, it's episodes 251 through 257. The first two episodes dropped at the same time. Then we went weekly after that. But it was a good homage to the Netflix era while finding its own beat, and I'm excited to see where it's going forward.
yeah, that speech between um, the not the speech, but basically the scenes with Frank and Matt when he first talked to each other about that point, talk about the death of Foggy. Still controversial to this day. We're still necessarily, despite what people are saying, like even the actor saying like, he's dead at that point. It's like, we need to see season 2 a little bit more.
No one
But
is ever truly dead in comic book history.
no, you're not really dead as long as you remember him. But like the things that are, like I said, the things that are set up, the speeches that are gone, especially that ending of Matt talking about the city and talking about what it is at that point and what we're leading to. We're getting a Punisher special presentation. That's basically, from what we're understanding, it's going to be what we thought was going to be leading into Daredevil, looks to be more leading into Spider-Man Brand New Day. As we know, Frank Castle is going to be appearing in Brand New Day. Whatever it is, this show brought the series back that we know and love, and we're very excited. So, you know, so yeah, a high mark with it. So as we head into May with Thunderbolts Asterix, despite what they want us to say and what they want to do, it's going to be Thunderbolts Asterix. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be calling this movie ever New Avengers, despite what they, it's basically like
With
the
a
Mean
Z.
Girls meme. Yeah, I'm saying you keep trying to say New Avengers, keep trying to make New Avengers a thing. It's not going to happen. I applaud them for the creativity and for trying to make it a big deal. But even we were like, I think they're going to try to do this, but I didn't think they were really going to run with it that much.
Yeah.
Despite that, we said it during a review. This movie really surprised me of how good it was and how good it is. Um, the taking the idea of a real deep character study of what amounts to, no offense to any of the actors and actresses that were, a bunch of D-listers. Some of them F-listers. you know, a bunch of and this is one of the things that it's I was just where they talked to the how deep some of these characters got of ones that we even made fun of at different points, like U.S. Agent discount Captain America. I mean, even they basically call him out like that. But the real moments they have between characters on this and where they're just trying to do right either for themselves or for just getting out for the boot from underneath them, man. I mean, even bringing in the Sentry of a character that the general audience doesn't know who the Sentry is at that point, and delving into kind of the psyche of what that is, this movie's really good. And if you're like, well, I've never really seen and don't care much for these characters, I challenge you to watch that movie and not want to care about these characters in the end. Um, and I get why the movie wasn't a huge box office draw in the sense of because it didn't have characters like, Iron Man, Captain America, like, Doctor Strange. Like, it didn't have Spider-Man. Like, I get that, but I applaud Marvel for at least taking a chance with it. And at least the critical reception said, like, it was good. And David and I really agree with that.
Yeah, it was a surprisingly good movie for a bunch of quote unquote B-list characters. They made these characters work. They leaned into some of the jokes and the criticisms about these characters in the past and made that a part of the story. So yeah, it they went above and beyond to me with this movie. And I do wish it got a lot more shine than it did from a lot of people, but also again, to your point, I'm never going to call it New Avengers. My New Avengers squad has Spider-Man and Wolverine in it. If you don't have them in Cap, then it ain't New Avengers to me.
No cap. No cap. As the kids say, no cap.
Yeah. So, but overall, yeah, great movie. It touches on some very deep points. Some
That we deal with in the society itself. It's a reflection of what we in a society are still trying to deal with.
Yeah. So again, Marvel Alliance episode 258 if you want to hear a full review on it, but this was one of the movies where I thought, man, they outdid themselves for the bar that I felt was set for this movie.
And then the next one, I didn't forget about this one. I just kind of couldn't remember when it came out. I originally thought Ironheart's our next one came out in June. For some reason, I thought it came out in August. That was when when I was creating the list, I had to go back. So when did this come out again? Came out in June. Not necessarily one that had your week by week releases, right?
Yeah, no, they did a split release with
Yeah.
this where they did half and half, and they're like, "Here's your show, take it, bye."
Bye. It's the summertime. You only have so much, and we were like, and I'm sorry, they did not do a good job trying to cover for this thing. Oh, we're not trying to dump it. It's just like it's best to be viewed like this. No, they still haven't said how they're gonna officially do Wonder Man yet. I think it's just there's a lot of strong hints of the wording they're doing with it and saying like stream the season streams like that is, but if they do week by week, oh, it's gonna be tough, David. It's gonna be real tough. But if they dump all episodes at that point, oh, it's gonna be tough too. But Ironheart, this show has been in the can for almost 2 or 3 years, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did some reshoots, but this was one of the first shows that they put on that infamous Disney Plus stream that happened years ago in this time of year. Because I remember doing um, a live show with Brent and Travis. That's how long the show. I mean, the infancy of Marvel Alliance. Um, this show had been out there, and it was supposed to be. Rumor has it that it was supposed to be a lead-in toward Armor Wars, and hashtag fake movie according to Mr. Snell. And he, like I said, it's you don't hear much about Armor Wars anymore. So I would say that's one of those that maybe one of the very few ones that just didn't come to light. But that's what the original iteration of the show was. And I liked the character of Riri Williams in Black Panther. I was very curious to see what they were going to do. And I think they do delve into a lot of interesting topics in the sense of like legacy and I want to make a name for myself. I want to be legendary. She's not trying to be Tony Stark. She just wants to make a name for herself in order to show what she can do. Very smart. Dominique Thorne is an outstanding young actress. But in the end, this show, I think if they had to do it over again, I don't think this show happens. I really honestly think that I don't think the character of Ironheart is a character that shouldn't be explored, but I think that they would have different plans than to put out a singular focused show based on a character that was introduced in Wakanda Forever. I think people have responded well to her as a character forever, but I don't think that it was that much of a one that warranted having a show like this at this time.
Yeah, for the amount of episodes that this got, I felt like if they were to do this again, it'd probably either been a movie or a special presentation and just get it out there and be done with it and going about their day. This was one that I was actually super looking forward to, and it was one that was the most disappointing for me. And it's not, I don't mean that in such a negative way. It's just my expectations versus what was delivered. I had to pull back a little bit because it started to feel like Marvel really just did not care about this project. It was, hey, we have this, we're sitting on this. This is the best time we have to just go ahead and release this now. So here you go. No real fanfare or anything else. They put it out there. It has great moments. It has some heartfelt moments.
Yeah.
It has some amazing speeches and some things that will, touch people, especially with the family dynamic for Riri. It has some incredible world building. And again, Mephisto confirmed. Like that
Yeah.
was the
I mean, we
biggest
can't.
thing that comes out of that.
The worst kept secret out there, especially the casting. Man, we've known about Sacha Baron Cohen, the rumors for a long time. So by the time we got it, I hate to say it, it was anticlimactic. Glad we
Yeah.
got it, and then it was more of just like, oh, we kind of get if you pause in the right frame, you get an idea of the character, and the whole thing. Oh, we don't want you to really see. Yeah, that's not how we want the hints of it. As I was like, okay, I guess. I
Yeah.
mean,
All,
you're
all of
trying to
this
frame
just
this
to get to Mephisto.
the framing of the like sorcery versus technology. It's like, no, that you weren't really successful with that either. Um, and again, I hate it because you do more damage to a character before they even have a chance at it. It becomes a joke. It becomes like, oh, that was a thing, and again, that's disappointing, especially with. And I'm not saying like it's. I don't think I don't think any project, even though they're not our tempo and things like that. I don't think anyone goes out there and says, "I'm out to make a bad prod. I'm out to make a bad show. I'm out to make a bad movie." No one really. No, that doesn't happen. I just I just can't. I find it very hard to believe that Disney did their best efforts, especially with having Ryan Coogler as an executive producer. I really think that this show was going to be one thing, and when I hate to say it, when Armor Wars really didn't start happening the way it did, they didn't know what to do, and they'd already had started commitments to this and things like that. Like it was another one that I mean, look at the theme of what we're looking at. Another pivot that had to happen, another thing we got to piece something together, and we just got to get it out there. When I
Yeah.
would have rather them found a way, if they really were hell bent on putting out an Ironheart show, find a right place to put it. And even though we joked at the beginning of the show, like we've been very frustrated with Marvel and the lack of information coming out and lack of moving forward of where we're heading to, we can't have it both ways. And so even though we're frustrated in the sense of like we don't have much news to come out because they're trying to course correct, which I'm glad that the course correction's happening, but also at the respect of the product, we said this with Sony. Sony was damaging Marvel and the product they were putting out by just putting out its content, and that's exactly what Marvel's doing. I get understanding business, and they already have deals in place. They got to put out the projects, but this did damage to the character and did damage to the idea of what the character was, not because of the actress is and the people involved. It was because of how Disney put it out there and just got rid of it and dumped it. And I care too much about the character and respect everyone involved in that project to say like they deserved much better than what they got.
Agreed. So yeah,
So
that sums up most of how we feel about it. Again, Marvel Alliance episodes 264 and 265 if you want a full review of the first and second half of the seasons. But yeah, it potential was there, but implementation was not.
yeah. So all right, and moving into the final MCU movie of 2025, Fantastic Four: First Step. So a lot was riding on this because, as the very cliched joke was, the best Fantastic Four movie that has ever been done was called The Incredibles. um, and we review. I mean, if you're a patron, you can listen to our reviews, and if you're not a patron, you can listen to the first episode of the Baxter broadcast that we put out there in the last couple of weeks about the unreleased Roger Corman produced one of Fantastic Four. But this had a lot riding on this, and when we started seeing the trailers and the teasers for it, this idea of a retro 60s futuristic, not taking place in the prime timeline, but in a multiversal one where they were the only heroes of their world. The casting was good. I don't think anyone really had any huge problems with casting of this. It just became a joke by the ideas like, can we just stop the whole thing and just say what we're doing here? I think aesthetically that it looked great. They captured that kind of feel. I really enjoyed how they put this movie together and bringing us a real Galactus that could be somewhat threatening, giving us a Silver Surfer that had a lot of depth to them, and giving us a family and getting the whole a family correct. I like the hints of back and forth that we do get with Johnny and Thing, not to the point of what it became with the Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer with that relationship with Johnny. Like it just became like they have a little bit of a brother kind of knocking on each other, but they've kind of started growing past that, so there are hints of it. But there's also in the sense of this is a mature family. This is a mature like kind of group that's there for each other. And they got the idea of the whole thing. It's a family, and they have disagreements, and they have stuff. And I love the idea of making Sue the kind of lead of this family. I thought it was a very good movie. Is it my favorite of the movies? Well, we'll have to see come in the end. But it was I think they did the Fantastic Four justice with this. So I was not disappointed.
Yeah, this was going to be Marvel's biggest potential swing and a miss if they did not get this right, and I feel like they landed all the beats that they need to land on. To your point, I love the dynamic between Thing and Johnny because they had the family, the gentle ribbing and things like that and it wasn't to the point of they were being harsh or mean about it as with the 2005 Fantastic Four, where at times we're like, man, this is borderline bullying at this point. It wasn't like that. It was just, it was banter between them. The entire family dynamic. Reed and everything that he was doing was about his family. The way that he immediately, after the embrace of we're pregnant, and then you can see his wheels start ticking, like all the things that he has to do in order to keep his family safe and everything going forward. The showing of Galactus looked amazing, absolutely amazing. The work on the Silver Surfer looked amazing. The moments of Johnny being able to have a brain, Sue being the soul of the family and everything like that. They really just they hit every beat that they needed to hit on this, and it was just fun. And the aesthetics of it with the universe that they chose to do it with, just it fit that fun vibe of the Fantastic Four. So I was really impressed by this. We'll get to if it was my favorite or not as well, but yeah, it I think that they did a bang up job with this movie. Again, it was their biggest potential swing and a miss. I think that there was more writing on this than there was Captain America or Thunderbolts, and they absolutely nailed what they needed to nail. And the fact that it came out in July, you're already going up against Superman in a stacked. I mean, this summer for action movies was pretty stacked at the box office, and they were still able to rake in over $500 million. So that's saying something right there.
Yeah, and it sets up very well. I mean, you know, gives us our first hint of a Doctor Doom. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it was something where you know, we weren't sure we were gonna get right.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot set up. This is going to be the linchpin for what we're doing going forward. So I'm very happy with that. Again, if you want to hear deeper thoughts, episode 267, we do a full deep dive, scene, almost scene by scene, like you really get a more in depth. But no, it was very much a good movie.
All right, and we got our next one, Eyes of Wakanda. Talk to me about Eyes of Wakanda and kind of where that started.
So, Eyes of Wakanda, this is another one of the Ryan Coogler executive produced ones. This is an anthology, 4 episode anthology series. Marvel gave us this on a full release. We got all 4 episodes at once again. They decided to take the fall and the rest of the year off. So they're like, here you go, enjoy. But this was a lead up of stories about the war dogs of Wakanda. Going through time. So we see them in different countries, uh, going through seeing the espionage that the Wakandans took, and getting these various artifacts that all built this overarching story. The animation for this was spectacular. They really outdid themselves with some of the choreographed fight scenes. There is a fight scene that involves a version of the Iron Fist that is immaculate. They have some great moments throughout history, and I felt like, again, this was another one of those where it had so much potential, but I don't think that Marvel really cared much other than we have this on deck. We promised Ryan, because he gives us great movies, that we would make this. Here you go, and here's your release.
Yeah, it like I agree. I fully agree. The animation was great. Um, I would say probably. I think there's out of the 4 stories that were there, I think 3 out of the 4 are really connected with. One of them is just like, I saw what they were trying to do. I think it was like the one where the where and I hate to say it, it was the one with Iron Fist. It had nothing to do. I love that Iron Fist was there, but it just seemed like kind of a more of a throwaway episode versus the other ones that seemed to have some real stakes.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, it was cool kind of exploring that world and exploring Wakanda through the ages. But I think where that show kind of falls by the wayside is that I don't think we're getting any more. And it seemed like one of those teases of an idea like Wakanda has such a rich history that's ripe to be explored. There was so much potential of this being kind of a cool anthology. It didn't need to go on forever, but I think that they could do this kind of 4 episode animation for, maybe like take a decade and just look at like decades or centuries or something like that and kind of explore just different aspects and kind of call it a day. Um, but just getting 4 episodes and then doing that, it's just like there's no point. It just gave us a taste, and we're not going to get anything more. I mean, I love that I've got a lot of different Wakanda focused and Black Panther focused comics where um, they do dive into more into the history, but I hate that this is kind of all we're going to get with it outside of Black Panther movies. I mean, we're still waiting for other projects, in the sense of, man, remember when we had the Ten Rings project happening there? Remember that? Remember that was a thing? I know not Wakanda, but like, these things that could explore a history and of a different culture a little bit more, but just not in the cards. But glad I saw it. Didn't feel like I wasted my time, but just disappointed knowing that even going into it, it's like I don't think this is gonna be anything more than this. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Episode 269, get our full thoughts on that.
yep. And then we close out our 2025 look back with Marvel Zombies. And I would have to say, for the most part, I think we were apprehensive in the sense of, oh, it's just gonna be 4 episodes. We already came off of 4 episodes, like saying, it was okay, but you know, can they land on it? Because that was one of the like most highlighted episodes of the first season of What If, and they were saying it's gonna be TVMA. We're gonna be, having these characters kind of do and act certain things, and we're gonna lean into it. And I think they did okay with the TVMA, but man, I was I was very happy with what we got. I think that kind of making our we got our Avengers here that we hadn't really gotten in the movies, and again, we don't neither one of us count the Thunderbolts as our as our new Avengers, but some of these characters that we felt that haven't gotten their due get their due here, and kind of the playing with who's going to live, who's going to die, and the sacrifices that are made, and the kind of the world building they do with this. And I think we've kind of, at least from Wyndham Bombs, at least hinted at, is that y'all did your job. We did our job. And when he says we did our job, we should be seeing some more Marvel Zombies. So I think we are going to be getting a season 2, very likely, based on his comments a month after the fact that we did our job, and Marvel's Zombie season 2 is pretty much is going to be happening, and I'm excited because the cliffhanger they left us on was a good one, but there's still more world to explore and some characters that we could really do. I mean, I love the ideas of some of the characters they did. I mean, Moon Knight Blade, that was a nice little twist of it. But yeah, I had fun with this show, and I'm glad that I hate that we ended our MCU in September, but we started with a great animated show, and I think we ended with a good animated show.
Yeah. This one, I went in with low expectations, thinking it was just going to be okay, a prolonged version of the episode of What If, and I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of the choices that they made and some of the cool characters that they showed. The fights with Hulk in there, having Abomination, just they pulled some stops out that I didn't think that they would do. They got to really use their multiverse aspects with this, and it was fun. Again, another one of the full releases because it's only 4 episodes, but it's a fun release. Go back and watch it, then listen to episode 273 afterwards, where we get more in depth on that. But yeah, it was a good showing, good fun, and anything involving Kate Bishop just it
Yeah,
always brings me joy.
and I think the idea of also like we knew don't get too attached to some of these. I mean, some of the we knew deaths were going to happen. It was more of the question of who and when they were going to happen too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of our looking at review. But let's kind of get into. So, David, what would you say is your favorite movie of the three we got with Captain America: Brave New World, Thunderbolts Asterix, and Fantastic Four: First Steps.
I am going to say that my favorite of them is actually Thunderbolts. It is the one that resonates with me on a more personal level. I get my laughs, I get my moments, but it's the one where I find myself rooting for the characters more and more every time that I watch it.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I'd say Thunderbolts Asterix is mine, followed with a close second with First Steps, and then Captain America: Brave New World. So,
Yeah, agreed.
so. But all right, so what are your top three favorite Disney Plus shows? Between just reviewing again, we've got Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Daredevil: Born Again, Ironheart, Eyes of Wakanda, and Marvel Zombies. So, what are your top three?
I am going to say my top one will be Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider Man because it subverted my expectations and it left me feeling like I want more of it. Closely followed by Daredevil Born Again. I think that if there wasn't a certain episode in there that kind of threw the pacing off, plus the change to another character, it would instantly jump. Amazing moments, but I feel like it didn't leave me with the joy and fulfillment that Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man did, followed by Marvel Zombies.
Yep, and I would say we are pretty much in line. Yes, I would say due to the consistency of the show, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man edges out Daredevil: Born Again for me. And then yeah, like followed up by Marvel Zombies in third. I think those were the best of the best, and doesn't take away from the other shows, but yeah, those pretty much right in line with it. So, but yeah, so it's I would say a grade for Marvel Studios this year in their projects in 2025. What would be your grade?
It's gonna be a C minus. I don't think that it's anything above. It averages out to be average. They had some good moments, but they
Like you say,
also
a C minus B average. Which one is it, David?
no, it's a serious C minus. It's that is it's just it's average. It doesn't wow me enough to propel it higher than that. I would love to give them a B. I would love to give them an A, but there's not enough consistency, not even with the shows themselves, but with the overall 2025 to give it above a C.
And I'm even a little bit more harsher to it. I'm not going to say it was an unsuccessful season because based on box office, it was, and not with banger after banger in a sense of that, but I say as a whole, for what we're leading to and what this is the year that was going to be leading to Avengers Doomsday and the wrap up of the Multiverse saga, this didn't. This was just a series of shows. I'm not saying everything has to be connected, but if you took this and said like, okay, this is going to be leading towards the Multiverse saga, um, I didn't get that. I'm glad we had these projects. I'm not saying everything has to be connected, but it was such a hodgepodge of different things and different titles. Man, I'm gonna have to be even lower and say C minus to a D for this year, and just saying it was. To say it was an average year, I think you're being kind. um, but I would say on the best of for the best of the shows, it's a C minus. For the worst, it hit some serious lows for me. And I'm not saying the MCU is over and things like that, but yeah, it's C minus to a D plus for me. Um, yes, below like borderline below average this year.
Yeah, and
And I
taking
think
the rest of
again,
the year off really hurts that as well.
well, I mean, even I wouldn't even say that. I just said like this. I said it earlier. This is a victim of circumstance where they still had content out there that they had to put out there, and just like I said earlier in the show, where Sony putting out content that wasn't the best damages the brand. I think some of this content may have not been bad quality, but as I said, like Eyes of Wakanda didn't go anywhere with it. Ironheart not going anywhere with it. The Frankensteining of Brave New World hurt that character, hurt the ideas of what was going on for what they were trying to set up. Um, the pivoting of what they were trying to make Born Again um, had, as we said, like there were some great moments in that show, but what they put it up there with and what they did with it also made some people question, like, oh, I wanted it wasn't bad, but like I just have some serious questions. And as long as the second season kind of corrects it, okay, we will get better. But I think just a lot of pivoting, which I hope in the end, if what this year brought and what these projects showed of what they need to course correct, if it leads to a better MCU moving forward, then great. I hate that it had to happen, but this is a year that the MCU need to take some hard lessons and dance. People who are just anti MCU and things like that, dancing on Marvel's grave. It's like, no, Marvel's not dead. It's I'm not making excuses for them because you just heard my rating of them. I mean, we run a Marvel show and we're not saying, oh, it was so great. Like, you heard our real critiques of it. And again, this is our opinion. If you think we're completely wrong, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But I didn't get into this whole thing to be like rah rah Marvel, you know.
Yeah.
So
So I'm inclined to agree. Yeah, that C minus is probably where I'm going to stick at from now on because there were opportunities, there were mistakes made, and maybe this is for the better to help them see where they need to go going forward.
yeah. So that is our kind of main topic for tonight, looking at Marvel, the MCU in 2025, and kind of giving our re-thoughts on it. And if you go back through, Marvel, excuse me, David did a good job of bringing up where our full breakdowns of each one of these reviews kind of took place on. So, but we're going to take our last ad break for the evening before we get into Factor Fiction and Comic Book Club. So, as you know, listeners, these ads can help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. It could be give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, so let me pull up Factor Fictions. Yes, I know I did not put up the Spidey signal this week for questions. That was mainly because, as we said earlier, we didn't know if we were going to be doing a teaser breakdown or this show. So just by the time I got to that point, it's just like, so as always, listeners, if you don't have to wait till I put the Spidey signal, you can always send in questions at that point. But tonight was just one of those like saying, yeah, we're just gonna move forward. So with Factor Fictions for last week, these are the ones I had put out. So in Avengers: Secret Wars, there will be a new portal scene during the third act of the movie. 67% said fact, 33% said fiction. Number 2, the first trailer for Avengers Doomsday will show at least 2 non-MCU legacy characters. 70% said fact, 30% said fiction. And number 3, in the first trailer for Avengers Doomsday, someone will refer to Doctor Doom as Tony when they see his face and or hear his voice. 47% said fact, 53% said fiction. So we will see whenever we get to see that trailer. What will happen with that? So, David, you are up this week.
All right, Factor Fiction number 1. We will see the Doctor Doom floating throne.
Floating throne. In what context? Trailer, movie? What are we talking
Movie.
about? Movie. Okay.
In Doomsday, we will see
Doomsday.
Doctor Doom's floating throne.
Maybe, but I'm gonna go fiction. It seems like I could see that maybe in a Secret Wars kind of thing, kind of flaunting his victory. But right now, I'd say not yet, not for Doomsday.
My vision is it would be at the end after whatever's moment is leading into Secret Wars, him having a victory or whatever what moment happens from that is going to be him sitting on the floating throne at that point. I of course we will see him, being over Latveria at some point, but I think the floating throne will come at the end.
Gotcha. All right, what you got for number two?
Okay, number two, we will see more than one version of Captain America in Secret Wars. So we will get our regular Cap, and my guess is that we will get Hydra Cap, but we will get more than one version of Captain America in Secret Wars.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fact with that. If rumors are to be believed, this is we're gonna see an interesting kind of idea between Doctor Doom versus Steve Rogers, and as they have said that I can't remember if we've talked about this. This may have been a this came out this week versus last week, but this is being a direct sequel to Endgame, um, and that might find out what exactly happened when Steve put back the stones and how this results in leading to Doomsday, which could be interesting. I have, I think we fans take this at that point. Sometimes statements that are made as running with it a little bit too far, but I don't think it's too far running with it, saying like, man, if it's direct sequel to Endgame, does that make everything else that we've done in between there's kind of less? I don't want to say
Yeah.
that that's not totally off base, but I can't say that it's not necessarily something that shouldn't be thought about either when you say stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I will say fact.
Awesome. Yeah.
How about you?
I think that they will have at least one more version of Cap. I'm
Are we gonna get
hoping.
Nomad? Please say we're gonna get Nomad.
I mean, even if we get Bucky in the full Cap suit, then I will take that. If we get Bucky's version of Cap, 'cause I didn't necessarily say Steve Rogers. I just said we will get more than one version of Captain America in Secret Wars.
No cap,
So,
no cap. As the kids say, no cap.
to
Shout,
quote the
shout,
kids.
shout out to Chuck. Shout out to Chuck.
And number three, and you can thank Brent and his current Marvel Unlimited reading for this one. We will get a Spider-Man Deadpool team up in Secret Wars.
A Spider-Man Deadpool team up.
We were talking about our current readings, and he said he had to go back and read a section of the Spider-Man Deadpool run from about 10 years ago to figure out who a
God,
character was. And
I,
so
I don't even remember that. That did not stick
and
out that much in my memory.
and that made me think, I'm like, huh, could we get a Spider-Man Deadpool team up? So yeah, that's my number three. We will get a Spider-Man Deadpool team up in Secret Wars.
Yeah, I think it's one of those that he's gonna have to have that. Again, some people look at Peter Parker, Spider Man as the annoying little guy right now at that point, but with everything he's gone through, he probably gonna. I would be hard pressed to say he's not gonna have a moment said, "Oh man, that's what they thought of me. He's more annoying than I am." you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's that. It's kind of like again, we want the Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man to have a moment. I think there's gonna be a Tom Holland Deadpool moment.
Yeah.
So.
I want it, and I think the fan service for it is there. So go ahead and just, even for just like 2 minutes of screen time, give me that.
Yep. So. All right. Well, I will post those Sunday afternoons to let your voices be heard with that. And so let us now go to Comic Book Club and bringing a close to Spider-Man Life Story Annual #1. Uh, and this was an annual that I think that this came about kind of last minute. I think this was not originally part of the full idea of it, but then when they put out this annual, man, what a conclusion to it. I love the cover, and the focus of the entire story being looking at J. Jonah Jameson, and Chip Zdarsky is always one to sub, like not go with the grain. He's always trying to bring out something interesting, and I'd say a whole annual focused on J. Jonah Jameson in this life story timeline, and just you just see exactly this the like, J. Jonah Jameson was always like anti Spider-Man, and then had made a shift in the modern era of seeing Peter Parker, seeing Spider-Man necessarily as okay, he's not always the menace. Like it looked kind of ridiculous to it, and I love it in this whole series, like how people kind of look at him and say, "You can't be serious." Like after even his own son at one point is like, "He saved my life." You know,
Yeah,
are
like
you
he's
kidding me,
not the bad
Dad?
guy. Get over it.
And the only one that seems to be fueling this fire is Norman Osborn. And even at one point when he calls Peter Parker, when he says like, "Oh, I can't believe Spider-Man killed your wife," it's like, "Oh my God, Joan!" And I love it that Peter's in his costume saying this. Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, Parker. And it's interesting just seeing how through the years, like his hatred seems to go, even when he's going to jail after everything he's done, like he gets put in jail, he still can't get it through his head that this isn't a fight worth having.
Yeah. And then he spends his entire time in jail, decades in jail, trying to convince everyone again that he's right. Spider-Man's the menace. All of this is Spider-Man's fault. He gets mad that even though he's ran off his family, his son refuses to keep the J. Jonah Jameson name going, gives his grandson a different name, just and all of this befriends Norman Osborn in prison while again going on and on about how it's all Spider-Man's fault. Just the poor guy cannot let this go over decades.
Yeah, but I love the idea, like this therapist that comes into play and tries to kind of help him understand, like, you're holding on to this hate so much. At what point, what is it getting you?
Yeah.
And it's all like, man, look at that, like, that suit that was, man, that a different proportion. And I love it that he goes after Scorpion,
Yeah.
um, and goes toe to toe and ends up like giving his life, losing his life to the whole idea of taking down Scorpion. But we come to the funeral and not many people come out, but we do see that Peter's there in disguise, and we see the therapist. And very subtly, I had forgotten about this, that the therapist is actually Gwen.
Yeah.
And you kind of hear a little bit of history there that her and Ben broke up, and she kind of took on this different identity to help people in prisons and found a way to kind of go after Jonah to make him see like a realization about it. So she was now here's my question on this one. I'm not a therapist, but man, that's kind of very manipulative, and kind of like that's not what therapists are supposed to do to like I think she was kind of borderline crossing a line here when it came to Jonah.
There's definitely some ethical violations going on here. For what she knows and the way that she was guiding things, there's definitely some ethics going on here.
Yeah. But the fact that Jonah does eventually see what we all were hoping to see, the light, this the untangled life of memoir, J. Jonah Jameson, um, seeing the light even after death, and she was like, I know you will too, Peter. You're trapped in the web as Jonah was, and this is kind of where we pick up that. This is kind of like the in between of the second to last issue and the final issue of Spider-Man life story, but. I'm never unhappy to read the story. I'm so glad that we got a chance to read it after, again, I'm glad to revisit Fantastic Four, but what Spider-Man life story did was not capitalized and used as a blueprint for Fantastic Four life story. And so I'm glad this is out there. If you have never read it and you read it for the first time, hopefully you enjoyed it as much as we did. Uh, but yeah, it was a great reread. But yeah, Comic Book Club is going to be taking a break until 2026. We'll probably kind of start bringing it back in January. I'm not going to put a timeline on it, but sometime in January we'll start bringing it back, and David and I will talk about it. But since we don't know kind of what the next couple of episodes releases are going to be, just based on, as we said, with the Doomsday timeline, and David and I are going to take a holiday break to be spend time with families and things like that. So we're kind of going to play it by ear, but at the very least, we're going to take a break from Comic Book Club. But it is coming back in January. We do enjoy doing this, and I know a number of you listeners really enjoy getting a chance to read along with us. So, but it's been fun doing this, and I enjoy doing Comic Book Club. So.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and this was a great read.
Yep. So, but all right. So, volume 280 in the books. So, like we said, we'll see what happens next week and how we're gonna put out episodes. Maybe we're just gonna have to wait and see. So, just pay attention to our socials at that point, and we'll be waiting to see if Marvel puts out that trailer for us all, or they're gonna make us try to see Avatar that first week. Well, David and I won't be, regardless. It's just
No,
not.
I will
We're
not.
just, it's just not going to happen. I've got travel plans and I've got packing to do, so it's just not going to be in the cards. So, but we will wait and see, and we will be there for you when we do that. So, but as always, David, tell people they can follow you, and you've got a show to promote this weekend.
Yep. You can follow me at all socials at The Phantom as listed below. You can follow me here on the GeekVerse Network as part of the wrestling show The Gimmick. We have a show coming up this Sunday where we'll be talking about the final match of one John Cena. So he has
Yeah,
his final
end of an
match
era.
on Saturday. The last time is now. He's going to have that match, and we will talk about it all on Sunday along with other wrestling news.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how that final match goes, because I think we all have ideas, but I also hopefully I don't know if they have the gall to subvert expectations.
I
You know.
told somebody that Saturday is going to be a time where they're going to see a grown man shed a thug tear over wrestling.
Yeah. See, he is call wrestling what it is. John Cena is. No one can deny that calling him the greatest of all time. He's done it. 17-time champion. You know,
Yep, he
and
has
has
earned that.
earned. He's earned every single title of WWE. So
Yep.
good on him. Earned that retirement, and I look forward to seeing him in Hollywood some more, because he's beyond Peacemaker. It's been a joy kind of seeing him grow as an actor in that. So
Yeah.
yep. So check that out, and yes, you can follow me on all the socials at Chris Balga. You can catch the newest episode on the Brave and the Boys channel that we did, looking at the newest solicitations live on that channel as well, with Jake and I. And you can follow this podcast on Twitter at Marvel A Podcast. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, ask questions, rate, review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us live in the chat. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, David. Post credits discussion. Doomsday may have not had a trailer this week, but the Distinguished Competition did put out the trailer for Supergirl. So David and I are just going to give our high level thoughts. I have only seen this. I've only been able to watch this trailer once, but listened to a lot of breakdowns already. David and I want to give our at least high level thoughts on the trailer. And first off, I enjoyed it. I think Millie Adcock is perfect as Kara. We got that little preview in Superman this summer, and it channeled all the essence of it. I think I absolutely adore Women of Tomorrow. I have the deluxe edition sitting on my shelf right now. The art, the story by Tom King, the artwork by Belle Week had just one of the best Supergirl stories of all time. I think that this movie is going to do really well. I think she's got the channeling of the character, and I think the line that defines what Kara Zor-El is in this: Superman sees the best in everyone. I see the truth. There have been many versions of Supergirl in the comics history, but the current iteration in the comics of Kara Zor-El, that is the definition of who she is. So I think that I'm very happy I mean, it's a great line. I'm glad they put it in the movie from the comics, but that is the truth of who she is as a character. So the little preview of Lobo we got, um, Ruthie is just yeah, spit off the page. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with this.
I was too. I got two viewings in of it. I got my normal work viewing in, and then I got another one at home.
Yeah, you had a conference. You had your usual meeting you had.
Yes, well, our meeting got interrupted by someone who actually wanted something work related. So then I
Ah,
got it. I know, right? And so then I got to actually sit and watch it again at home. I loved everything about it. I liked starting off with Crypto. I liked
yep.
Emilia Clarke's character. I like how they went from the kind of laissez-faire attitude that she was showing to the complete badass. Um,
Yeah,
I was
it's gonna be a bad. What'd she say? It's got bad news for you all. I can't remember the
yeah.
line, but yeah, that's also a pull from the comics too. So
I liked how it gave me Guardians of the Galaxy feel, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like I absolutely love the Guardians movies, so I feel like this is going to be good with the space exploration aspect of it, the finding yourself aspect of it, and I can't wait to see how Millie full on takes on this role and what she's able to do with it, because from this trailer alone it looks like this is going to be amazing, and I can't wait for the full on battle with the suit. Looks amazing in the
yeah.
suit.
Have you read Woman of Tomorrow at all?
I've read it. It's been a while.
Yeah, yeah. It's and like everything, it's based on a Tom King. Served as an advisor as is on the Brains Trust with this. So, again, like with everything, I don't want a direct translation because I got the book on the shelves. I just want an honoring of the material and honoring of the character. And I definitely feel with this that they're going to do it. But if you want to see and hear a full breakdown of this trailer, check out DC Alliance. That they are going to go live on Friday night and it will be dropping in the feeds on Saturday. So check that out with Mr. Hines and Joe for that. Give them a big plug, give them a big listen at that point. But we will see you next time, whenever that is going to be, next week or the week after. We will see. But pay attention to the socials, and we will catch you on the flip side. Take y'all later.
See ya.